Yo, what's good, everybody? It's your boy, the Anime Ambo here, coming back at you with What If Naruto Was Like Minato Part 16. On the side right here, I'm trying to find out where I am exactly. All right, I know where I am now. So listen, I know I'm saying and a lot, but listen. So, I really appreciate some of the feedback that I got. Actually, all the feedback that I got on the new style of video with the music in the background. I'll lower it even more for this video, just because I did get some comments addressing that there was an issue with the sound, basically saying that it was a little too loud and it was drowning out my voice. So I re-uploaded the video for part 15. I'm just gonna archive the other one because it doesn't need to stay up if it's not what I'm gonna keep. I just wanted to get your opinions on it, and basically, yeah, because I'm trying to move forward with my channel, and I also have created some new thumbnails for some new videos, and I'm looking forward to those as well. I don't know exactly when I'm going to release those, so I'm not going to give you guys any false hope or timeline for like a immediate future. I want to get through this story as much as I can possible, and the other story as well. I kind of want to finish that one. But yeah, so I think that's really it. I'm not sure if I had anything else that I wanted to say. No, not really. So like, subscribe, comment. I respond to all comments and I heart all comments, and I figured out that notification issue that allows me to now see when you guys reply to my comments, which I think is good, personally. And also, if you do subscribe, I'd appreciate it if you turn on post notifications so that you can see when I upload a video. Yeah, and that's basically it. Sorry for not posting yesterday. I was very busy. I was out with my family all day, doing things. I had real life things to do. But yeah, we're back for this video, and it's currently 5:06 in the morning when I'm recording this video. So I am recording this very early in the morning. I did not sleep. I don't sleep at night. Really, not very much. I mean, I kind of have a lot of schoolwork that I've been getting done. But yeah, so without all this incessant rambling, and there's a lot of it for 2.5 minutes of talking, let's get right on into the video, and let's, just progress the story. Shoot, let's go. After the fights were finished, Hayate called out, "Will all the winners please come down to the arena floor? We have a few announcements." Sasuke, Shino, Temari, Kankuro, Naruto, Shikamaru, Neji, and Gaara arrived at the arena floor as Hayate addressed them again. "Congratulations to you all. The 8 Genin are the finalists that will compete in the finals of the tuning exams in 1 month's time. It will be just how it happened today, except your opponent will be decided right now." He pulled out a small pouch filled with chits. "You pull a number from the pouch and announce the number you have received along with your name. By those numbers you are paired." He started with Naruto first and then went down the line. Uzumaki Naruto, 1. Aburame Shino, 6. Gaara, 3. Kankuro, 5. Hyuga Neji, 2. Sabaku no Temari, 7. Uchiha Sasuke, 4. Nara Shikamaru, 8. Hayate nodded and read from the clipboard that he was carrying. "The following matches will be as followed. Uzumaki Naruto versus Hyuga Neji. Gaara versus Uchiha Sasuke. Kankuro versus Aburame Shino. Sabaku no Temari versus Nara Shikamaru." He looked up from the board and addressed the Genin. "There will be 7 matches in total. The 5th match will be between the winner of the 1st and the 2nd. The 6th match will be the winner of the 3rd and the 4th. The 7th match between the winner of the 5th and the 6th. The Sandai may step down at this point. Now that you know who your opponents are going to be, use the following month to prepare for the finals. Your village will be represented, so while preparing, keep that in mind." The next day, Naruto was walking at a comfortable pace to Training Ground 7, where he had sensed Kakashi. As he walked, he thought about what happened yesterday. Hinata had been pit against Neji, and it wasn't just cousin rivalry that was going on. Naruto had learned for the first time, listening to Neji talk, that the Hyuga were divided even among themselves. Hinata was the heiress of the Hyuga, which meant that she was a member of the main house. Neji was a member of the branch house and held a serious grudge against the main house, if his behavior towards Hinata was anything to go by. Naruto hadn't taken well to Neji verbally assaulting the already timid girl so much. Neji had to be stopped from landing a fatal blow to Hinata by the Jonin senseis. Naruto himself had sworn a blood oath to make Neji pay for what he did to Hinata. Maybe it was fate that they ended up being opponents, who knows. Naruto didn't know the full story yet, but he won't be looking into it just yet. Right now, he needed to find Kakashi for his training. He leisurely walked into the training grounds and spotted Kakashi and Sasuke both standing by the stumps. Kakashi, as usual, had his head buried in his mag, while Sasuke just looked plain annoyed. He then spotted Naruto walking towards them in no hurry at all. "What are you doing here?" The annoyance was crystal clear in his voice. Naruto easily shrugged it off and replied, "I'm sure our sensei was expecting me. After all, we both need to be trained for our finals and the Chunin exams." He easily smiled back, further annoying the Uchiha. "I was indeed expecting you, Naruto," Kakashi said, snapping his book shut. He regretted for what he was about to do, but it couldn't be helped. Naruto stared intently at Kakashi, straight in his visible eye. There was something going on that he didn't know. Casting a bored glance at Sasuke, he couldn't find anything. The boy just looked annoyed and impatient. Impatient for what? Kakashi found it hard to stare at his student in the eyes. Those eyes were full of intelligence but always looked bored. Now that Naruto was staring at him, trying to figure out what was going on, he didn't see Naruto. Instead, he saw the sensei. He only looked disappointed at him, as if he already knew what he was about to do. Naruto stared at Kakashi, waiting for him to speak, but for some reason, the usually cool Jonin looked a tad bit uncomfortable. Naruto mentally sighed, thinking Kakashi would need some prompting to speak. Bluntly pointing a finger towards Sasuke, he asked, "Why is he impatient?" The question caused Sasuke's neck to snap towards him. It also caused Kakashi to finally rein his wits. Before he could speak, Naruto beat him to it. "Anyways, I came here to ask you to train us for the finals, Kakashi-sensei." He was careful to say us and not me. "You see, Naruto, the thing is, I won't be training you for the finals," he said, guilt bubbling up in the inside. The level of guilt grew exponentially when he learned what his student had come to ask for. But because of who Sasuke's opponent was, he needed to train him. Naruto, for his part, simply stared at Kakashi like he was stupid. Inside, though, he was a bit hurt. He knew Kakashi was the only man with a Sharingan still affiliated to the village. Therefore, was the best person to train the last loyal Uchiha. But that excuse became invalid the moment he chose to become a sensei. As a sensei, he had to treat all his students fairly without playing favorites. He could understand that Sasuke needed training because of who his opponent was, but that was no excuse to ditch the other students. What about him and Sakura? Naruto's posture straightened up. He folded his arms across his chest. "Other than the fact that Sasuke is facing Gaara and only you can train him with the Sharingan, what excuse do you have this time for ditching me and Sakura?" He didn't mince his words. He laid his cards onto the table, opting to see Kakashi's hand. Kakashi flinched heavily this time. The accusation was clear in Naruto's voice, and his question had hit the bullseye. What excuse did he have? He couldn't form an answer. Naruto watched Kakashi struggle for words and fought to keep his eyes from narrowing. He felt anger for the first time since the wave mission, and it was smoldering. He knew that he himself had received special training before, but it was justified considering his position as the lone Jinchuriki of the village. Why was Sasuke entitled to special training? Naruto simply put his arms in his pockets and turned around. He really wasn't in the mood to hear another half-assed excuse that Kakashi would likely give him. "Don't bother answering. I can see you have no excuse," Naruto said, walking away. Kakashi decided to change the topic to at least salvage what little he could. "But I did find you another sensei, Naruto." Naruto stopped but did not turn around. "If you meant that closet pervert hiding in the woods behind us, thanks, but I'll pass. He was in no way training with Ebisu of all people for something as important as the Chunin exams. He'd met the man when he was training Konohamaru to use the Oroke no Jutsu. Needless to say, he was not impressed at all. The man's chakra was barely mid-jonin. His attitude towards him pissed him off. Before using Shunsui to go away, he said without turning around, "I don't know if you know or not, but Gaara's like me. Maybe even stronger," he revealed, causing Kakashi's eyes to widen in shock. Naruto continued, "Even people like you would be hard-pressed to beat him." He flickered away, not waiting to watch the man's reaction or Sasuke's confusion. He appeared in front of the Hokage Tower deep in thought. He was sure everyone would remember what Gaara had done to Rock Lee yesterday. The guy with the sand had crushed Lee's hands and legs so brutally, without any hint of remorse or emotion, that even Naruto had sweat a little. Gaara was dangerous, and he himself didn't know how he would beat the guy. Kurama had told him that since the Ichibi was the weakest of all tailed beasts, he gave his host full access to his power very early. which is why Gaara was so deranged. Shukaku had been influencing Gaara ever since Gaara could talk, so it was bound to affect him some way. Naruto didn't care though, and went through all the doors. He simply jumped up to the window, slid it open, and announced, "Yo, Gigi." Sarutobi was glaring at the paperwork before him with all the hate he could muster. He was about to start on it when he felt an exceptionally large amount of dense chakra heading towards him. He was about to stand up when he heard the familiar, "Yo, Gigi." Sarutobi blinked and the blonde perched on his window, waving casually at him. However, he detected a small amount of sadness emanating from the boy. "Naruto-kun, come in." He let the boy come inside and sit in front of him. He patiently waited for him to speak. Naruto deliberated on how to say it, but decided that laying it out seemed like the best option. "I need someone to train me for the finals." He had expected the confusion on Gigi's face. "Why? What happened to your sensei?" Naruto managed to keep the bitterness out of his voice. He was training Sasuke for the finals. Sarutobi had been a shinobi for almost 70 years, therefore was adept at reading the emotions of people, especially the hidden ones. So it immediately became clear to him what happened, and his eyes had hardened. "Kakashi promised me he would treat his students without favoritism. How dare he break his promise? I knew he would be conflicted between Obito's and Minato's legacy. Should have at least found some middle ground instead of just tossing aside Minato's legacy." He raged mentally for a few moments before calming down. Fortunately, he did have someone excellent who could train Naruto for the finals. "Very well, Naruto. I will speak to Kakashi later, but for now, I do have someone who could train you." Naruto's eyes lit up with hope. "You do?" Sarutobi smiled. "Why, yes, he's in the village right now." Naruto looked confused for a second, but immediately grasped the meaning of that statement. A smirk spread across his lips. "Is he now?" Without waiting for him to respond, Naruto was gone in a swirl of leaves. Sarutobi chuckled, returning to his paperwork. He looked forward to seeing what Naruto did in the finals. Naruto immediately spread his senses, sensing every chakra signature he could. A particularly large chakra signature showed up on the outermost point of his range. Naruto smirked and ducked into an alley. After checking that no one was watching, he flashed to the location. He had put his formula around the hot spring as well. Appearing silently in a blue flash beneath the large man perched on a branch of a tree, shamelessly peeping into the women's side of the hot spring and giggling. Naruto reacted the instant he appeared, jumping up and kicking the man into the women's side of the bath. He then sat down to enjoy the show. There was definitely screams of women and the pained screams of Jiraiya filling the air. Naruto laughed heartily at the beating his godfather was going through. He had settled things with him a while ago and had no problem making fun of the guy. He didn't stop laughing even when Jiraiya managed to leap over the fence and out of the war zone looking no worse for wear. He glared at the blonde brat who was on the branch, who was wheezing so hard that he fell down on the branch. Not even registering the fall, Jiraiya growled and was about to kick the brat when Naruto finally stopped wheezing and stood up. His face was flushed with all the laughing. "That's what you get for peeping, Edo Sennin." Naruto smirked, folding his arms. Jiraiya crossed his arms in a huff. "You know better than to interrupt my peeping time, Naruto," he muttered, though there was no heat in his voice. He then really looked at Naruto for the first time. He had grown well, standing over at 5'2" and a well-built physique for his age. His hair was tied in his usual ponytail, and he was still looking as bored and indifferent as ever. "Anyway, what do you want?" Naruto's expression turned serious and asked with a hint of pleading in his voice. "Will you please train me for the Chunin exams?" Jiraiya smirked, having known what Naruto was going to ask. He had no problem training his godson for the finals, but wanted to test his resolve first. "What are you offering me in return of your training?" Naruto gave a deadpan stare. "What happened to being a respectable shinobi? The people would be mighty disappointed to learn that the mighty Toad Sage is a stingy old man." Jiraiya shook his head, not at all offended. "I'm not talking about money." A lecherous grin spread across his face. "I'm talking about your Oroike no Jutsu. It sounded very interesting from what Sensei told me." Naruto raised an eyebrow in interest. "You really are a pervert, aren't you?" "Wrong!" Jiraiya shouted, waving a finger. "I'm not just a pervert, I'm a super pervert." Naruto let a smirk across his face. "Let's see you hold up against this." With a ram seal, Naruto was replaced with a naked young woman with smoke covering her most sensitive areas and her pigtails waving gently in the breeze. "Is this what you were referring to, Jiraiya-sama?" Naruto asked cutely with a finger on her lower lip. For a moment, he thought Jiraiya would fall over in a nosebleed. His eyes were bugged out to the max. The man almost looked like he'd have a heart attack on the spot, but suddenly he surprised Naruto with a two-way thumbs up, hearts replacing his eyes. That's very good. He almost crowded in praise. All right, kid, I'll train you. Great, Naruto cheered and almost released the jutsu when Jiraiya stopped him. One condition, though. What? You have to keep the henge on the entire time we're training. Naruto dispelled the jutsu, looking plain annoyed. You are way over the top sometimes, Ero-Sennin. Don't call me that, brat, he barked, bonking Naruto on the head. Fine, I'll train you. Meet me here tomorrow morning, 7 o'clock, and don't be late. Giving a two-fingered salute, he was gone. Naruto chuckled. It was good to see his godfather after such a long time. He was as perverted as ever. He was gone in a blue flash a moment later. Alright, that was it. I like that encounter. That was pretty cool. That was tight. That was tight. The next morning, he met Jiraiya at the bathhouse again. Good morning, Ero-Sennin. Jiraiya grumbled. You were really stuck on that name, huh? Naruto said mildly. You have to admit, though, it's oddly befitting of you. As they walked, Jiraiya explained, Alright, first I need to have a measure of your current skills. So we'll go to an empty ground I know a few ways away. Then after that, I'll help you set up the things you need to work on while I do my own work. Naruto interrupted with a dry tone. You mean peeping, don't you? Jiraiya didn't even acknowledge the question, leading them into a field with a large lake on the other side of the bushes. Jiraiya stopped in the middle of the field and turned to face Naruto. Show me what you got. Naruto asked in return, should I take off the resistance seals? Jiraiya considered it and said, start off with them, and then when I say so, take them off. Naruto grinned savagely. He could strike without holding back this time. The thought spiked his heart rate, adrenaline filling his veins. He shot forward in a dash, his right foot close to Jiraiya's face. It was blocked by the man, but Naruto only needed to get close. He engaged Jiraiya in an exchange of punches, kicks, palm strikes, and jabs, never hitting the Sani, but not getting hit either. He realized that Jiraiya was just getting serious, so he decided to up the game. Disengaging, he formed a snake seal. Futon, Kazegorai no Jutsu! A spinning ball of wind spun towards Jiraiya, who looked shocked. He knows Futon! He jumped out of the way, seeing the spot where he was standing explode in wind. I would have been cut in pieces if I had gotten hit with that. He sped through his own hand seals. Ninja art, toad bullet! Naruto's mind worked instinctively. Knowing what set oil on flame, Katon Ruka no Jutsu. As soon as the fire impacted the sticky oil, it raced towards the stupefied Jiraiya. He knows Katon! He immediately disconnected the oil. He turned around on an instinct to block the punch from the shadow clone, kicking it and causing it to dispel. However, chains of water rose up and wrapped around him in a flash. He knows Suiton as well! However, he was not allowed to dwell in it for long. A cry distracted him. Suiton, Dai Suigan no Jutsu! Jiraiya stared dumbstruck at the 20 feet tall spinning water drill coming from above, with Naruto holding the dog seal. The drill crashed onto where Jiraiya was being held, creating a large explosion of water. Naruto stared at the spot where Jiraiya was, a wooden log in its place. His danger sense rang true, warning him from behind. He shunponed just in time to avoid the heel that would have sent him through the trees. Jiraiya blinked when he missed. What was that? Naruto then appeared in front of him, his face not giving away anything. Oh, thank God. I did not want this to have to be recorded again. That would have been so annoying. Alright, I digress. Let's continue. Where is it? After Naruto landed a direct kick in Jiraiya's gut, sending him flying backwards. Honestly speaking, the fight should have been over by now. Naruto didn't need to let up the lightning, otherwise Jiraiya would have been finished by now. But Naruto watched dispassionately as Jiraiya crumbled. He flipped back to avoid his face from meeting the ground. Jiraiya grinned as he watched Naruto settle into a strange fighting stance. He's fast. His taijutsu is something I've never seen before, but it had elements of the snake style. He hits hard and fast, even with the weights. His instincts are excellent, and he doesn't let his guard down even for a moment. He knows 4 nature transformation, and he's pretty well versed in them, considering he used 3 of them with only 1 or 2 seals, and the lightning without a seal. He almost had me there if I hadn't substituted at the last second. A Jonin would be hard-pressed to beat him right now. Well, alright, brat, seals off. He felt a little nervous at the grin that appeared on his godson's face, but shook it off. This time he took the initiative, dashing towards Naruto. However, he was once again surprised with just how fast Naruto was. His speed was easily high Jonin, with the reflexes to match. Jiraiya was hard-pressed to find an opening in the fight. He was forced onto the defensive when Naruto took out 2 kunai, holding them in reverse grip and channeling wind chakra, causing the kunai to look like blue daggers. He was on the defense for a while before he managed to disengage with the help of an earth spike. Sending Naruto back, Naruto threw the kunai midair with deadly accuracy. which Jiraiya avoided by the skin of his teeth. Naruto landed and looked at him, and Jiraiya had to admit he was more than a bit unnerved at the grin Naruto was showing. Naruto then took out 2 exploding tags between fingers on both hands, held them in a cross and threw them such that they were on either side of Jiraiya, who scoffed. "If you think explosive tags can take me out, think again." But then he cursed and jumped back because somehow the tags were multiplying. "Gogyo, Kibaku Fuda," Naruto exclaimed. A series of successive explosions shook the area. When the smoke cleared as expected, Jiraiya wasn't there. He spread out his senses, but it seemed Jiraiya had a way to block himself from sensory-type ninja. He sniffed the air looking for the distinctive smell of oil, but other than in the clearing, it was nowhere, and he wasn't out of his option just yet. He had to reveal his trump card, the Hidaishi. Jiraiya may have been able to block himself from his senses, but Naruto could always sense where he placed his jutsu shiki. And along the course of the fight, Naruto placed his formula on the ground in multiple spaces. All of them were in his vision except one. Jiraiya in a tree 50 feet behind Naruto. Naruto wasted no time in flashing. Jiraiya closely observed Naruto while under a jutsu that prevented anyone from sensing him. "He's good, better than what Minato was at his age. He's faster than most of the Jonin I know. What is that technique, though? It seemed like a short-range Shunshin. But not the Shunshin. That explosion, though. How did he create those? The tags multiplied into copies, but the explosive power didn't diminish one bit. It was truly an ingenious seal. He's easily mid to high-level Jonin, but now that the enemy has hit him, what will you do next, Naruto?" He was flabbergasted, however, when Naruto disappeared in a blue flash. Naruto grinned as he connected a solid kick to the real Jiraiya's cheek for the first time in the fight, sending him flying through 2 trees and straight back into the clearing. Jiraiya flipped onto his feet, ignoring the pain and completely and staring open-mouthed at Naruto, who used his Shunshin-like technique to appear in front of him. That was... He didn't have a chance to finish as Naruto disappeared in a blue flash again, appearing right in front of Jiraiya and punching him in the cheek. Jiraiya staggered back, clutching his tender jaw. Naruto disappeared again, reappearing behind Jiraiya in less than a second. Double palm thrust sent Jiraiya flying straight into the path of trees. However, he already knew what he wanted to know. Jiraiya easily landed sideways onto the tree, then jumped down. He stared at Naruto in shock, who was smirking, his voice barely above a whisper. "You mastered the flying thunder god?" Naruto nodded, still smirking. He kept a smirk when Jiraiya chuckled, which progressed into deep bellowing laughter. He hadn't had this much fun in a fight since Minato. He calmed down and stared at the kid with a grin. "Kid, you could beat most Jonin with what you have right there," he remarked, and the opinion of Naruto only rose higher when he replied. "True, but there's always room for improvement," Naruto conceded. He still wanted to improve. He was still only 13 years old, so he had a lot of room for improvement yet. Jiraiya asked with some hope in his voice, "Naruto, how would you like to become my apprentice?" Naruto's eyes lit up. "Really?" Jiraiya nodded with a smile. He would make a damn good shinobi out of this kid, even stronger than Minato. Naruto jumped in joy. "Yatta!" Naruto looked at Jiraiya with his blue eyes shining. "Does that mean?" He didn't even finish his question when a scroll appeared in Jiraiya's hands, offering it to Naruto. Naruto opened the scroll and his eyes softened when he saw the name of the last toad summoner. "Dad." His eyes moistened as he rubbed them. He took out a kunai and cut his right thumb. Just as he was about to sign it, Kurama stopped him. "Wait, Naruto!" Naruto's thumb stopped short of the scroll, brow furrowing in confusion with Jiraiya. He looked over at Jiraiya, pointing towards his stomach, then to his mind. Jiraiya's eyebrows rose in disbelief. The QB is speaking to you?" Naruto nodded absently as he put his thumb in his mouth. "What is it, Kurama?" "Don't sign the contract," the fox rumbled. Naruto rose an eye and challenged. "Why not? They're powerful." When he heard next, caught him off guard. "The fox contract's even more powerful." "What the fuck? There's no fox contract." Man, we've been going straight. No water. 24 minutes straight talking, no water, man. It's 5:30 in the morning. That's crazy. All right, bet. Let's go. Naruto couldn't help but blurt out, "You want me to sign the fox contract?" Jiraiya's eyes widened. "There's a fox contract?" He couldn't believe that the QB of all beings was trying to persuade Naruto into signing a contract that was the same as its species. He watched as Naruto's face cycled through different expressions. First shock, confusion, challenging, speculation, agreement, and finally resignation. Naruto sighed. "Kurama wants me to sign the fox contract," Edo said. "Kurama?" Naruto gave him a look. "The QB has a name, you know, and he won't accept me signing any other contract than that of the fox." He looked up to Jiraiya with worried eyes. "Does that mean I won't be able to become your apprentice?" Jiraiya was frowning, and that only fueled Naruto's worry. Are you friends with the Kurama? Naruto looked confused as to why Jiraiya was asking this question, but nodded. Jiraiya then surprised Naruto by chuckling. No worries, Naruto, he declared. You might not become a Toad Summoner apprentice, but you will still be my apprentice. Who knows, you might even become a better summoner than me one day. Jiraiya was deeply hurt and sad that Naruto won't be able to become a Toad Summoner like him or Minato. But he really didn't want to antagonize the demon fox residing inside Naruto, not to mention the prophecy that the Toad gave him. The key to Naruto's seal was with the Toad clan, so Jiraiya was the only one who could give it to him now. He hates toads. Jiraiya blinked, snapping at a thought. Naruto ignored Kurama's enraged yell. He doesn't want to be associated with toads. The reason he explained for a long time ago how foxes are superior to toads in every way is because he can't be upfront about his feelings. Jiraiya was finding it hard not to chuckle, lest the Kyuubi forcibly sent some chakra into Naruto in an attempt to kill him. The aspect of Kurama he had just learned, it was surprisingly human. He figured it was fair to reason for Naruto not signing the Toad contract, but that left a problem. Where will you find the Fox contract, though? Naruto answered, Kurama told me that for shinobi to use summoning jutsu successfully, they have to have a contract with an animal. But if a shinobi performs the summoning jutsu without a contract, they'll be transported to the realm of the animal they are most suited to have a contract with. Jiraiya remembered with a grimace when he tried to do the same and ended up on Mount Miyaboku. That's true. Naruto shrugged. And I'll do the same, but my case is a bit special due to having Kurama, a fox demon inside of me. I automatically qualify to become a fox summoner, so performing the jutsu will take me straight to the fox realm. Jiraiya thought it over a bit. It was a sound theory, but if it didn't work, Naruto would have no way of coming back. What if it doesn't work? Naruto blinked and winced. Kurama doesn't like people questioning his intelligence. Jiraiya paled but nodded and told Naruto the hand signs. You perform the hand sign. Boar, dog, bird, monkey, ram, and then slam your hand onto the surface. That's the gist of it. Boar, dog, bird, monkey, ram. Naruto made each hand seal slowly, his anticipation clear for Jiraiya to see. As soon as he completed the sequence, Naruto slammed his hand into the ground. The sealing array, which Naruto guessed was a seal contract, erupted and disappeared in a puff of smoke. Jiraiya exhaled a sigh and sat down, waiting for his godson to return. I'm really debating. I'm going to go for a run soon, so I don't know if I want to keep it going. I'm almost at the end, though, so I may as well. Alright, bet. We'll finish it. Naruto appeared in the realm of the foxes, shaking his head at the slight dizziness. The sensation of traveling was not unlike the Haraishin. He heard Kurama's voice in his head, which was filled with the emotion one goes through when they come back home. Welcome to Kitsune no Kuni, Highway no Oko, the Hills of Peace. Naruto gazed awestruck at the realm of the foxes. It was the most beautiful place Naruto had ever seen. So exotic that it felt like true symbolization of nature. It looked very much like a hill station, but instead of houses, a number of caves were on each hill. There were 5 hills in total, leading up to the huge mountain. The top, which was among the clouds, the place was so full of ambience that Naruto had unknowingly sat down just to admire the beauty. He'd never felt this close to nature before. Naruto had never seen so many foxes in one place. Beautiful, isn't it? Kurama spoke in a soft tone, well, as soft as his rumbling voice could become. Naruto agreed in an equally soft voice, afraid that if he spoke above a whisper, it would shatter the peace of this place. Oh shit. Yeah. He just kept gazing at the valley, a soft smile on his face, not even noticing that a brown fox had spotted him and alerted the others. A snarl interrupted his thoughts, and he found himself gazing at around 15 snarling foxes of different colors who looked not the least bit friendly. Naruto unconsciously straightened up and while sitting Indian style and making eye contact with the lead silver fox. He didn't mask himself. Instead, he revealed who he truly was through his eyes. The fox started smiling and adopted what looked like curiosity on his face. He looked into Naruto's eyes for several moments, Naruto not flinching away for even a moment. Who are you, human? The smooth tenor surprised Naruto for a second, but he recovered. My name's Uzumaki Naruto. May I know yours? Best to be polite rather than hostile. Osamu, came the reply. What are you doing here, Uzumaki Naruto? Naruto didn't know whether the answer would infuriate Osamu or not, but it would be unwise to lie. Foxes are extremely clever creatures. I was told to come here by Kurama to sign the contract of the foxes. He gulped when he saw Osamu's face twisting, revealing his sharp teeth. It didn't help that Osamu was almost as tall as Naruto was standing. You have some nerve addressing the Lord of the Foxes by his name, without an honorific no less. Naruto spoke before he would be forced to defend himself. Because he lives inside me. Osamu blinked, not understanding Naruto's statement at first, but when he realized what it meant, his face twisted into a snarl again and he got into attack position. Why, you... Stop! A single command from a soft voice caused all the foxes to turn around. Naruto found himself gazing at a regal-looking red fox. The voice was obviously female, filled with power and superiority, but at the same time a warm and comforting tone. She looked beautiful. The red fox strode toward Naruto, assessing him with her gaze. The foxes parted for her, and as soon as she looked down at Naruto, "Stand up, Naruto-kun." Naruto blinked at the soft tone, but did as she said. Soon his eyes were level with the red female fox. She gazed into his eyes for a moment, then spoke. "We've been waiting for you, Naruto-kun." Naruto rose a puzzled eyebrow. "Waiting for me?" The red fox smiled and said, "Come, we have much to talk about." She turned around, and from the way everyone bowed to her, she must be a pretty important fox around here. He walked after her as she led the way. "I understand the Kyuubi-sama told you to come here." Yes, he did." The red fox chuckled. "No need to be afraid, Naruto-kun. You are one of us now, or you will be after you sign the contract." Naruto then spoke, his confidence returning but still being cautious. "I never did get your name, Kitsune-sama." The female fox chuckled. "That's because I never told you. My name's Naomi." Naruto smiled. "Nice to meet you, Naomi-sama." Naomi laughed softly. "You're very well-mannered, Naruto-kun. It is a pleasure to meet you too." Naruto then said, "Not to be rude or anything, but having an animal contract is pretty serious, so shouldn't I be tested if I'm worthy of the contract or not?" Naomi easily replied, "The word of the Kyuubi-sama is proof enough. Believe me, if Kyuubi-sama didn't think you were worthy, he wouldn't have even told you that we exist." Naruto listened as Naomi told him the history of how the Kitsune contract came to be. Many years ago, way before the era of the Kage, the Kyuubi was still a free demon. It was a misconception that the Kyuubi randomly attacked human settlements. In truth, the Kyuubi only attacked those human settlements where the greatest concentration of negative feelings were. People were right to fear the Kyuubi, but they started taking out their anger on the normal foxes, attacking and killing a fox whenever it came into their sight. The Kyuubi listened to the plights of the foxes and created this realm in a remote corner of the world, so that the foxes can live without having to look over their shoulders every few moments. The foxes settled down in these hills, and over time they became beings that were strong and intelligent enough to create a summoning contract of their own. However, there was only one person worthy enough of becoming their summoner. Then a prophecy was told that a boy judged worthy by their lord would become the next summoner of the foxes and would change the world. Naruto was frowning at the end of the explanation. "I get the history of the foxes, Naomi-sama, but I was mentioned in a prophecy?" Naomi saw that Naruto was likely to prod at that, so she changed the subject. "A story for another time. For now, you need to meet the boss of the Kitsune." They arrived at a large gate which stood well over 120 meters, but what caused Naruto's mouth to drop were the guards that stood on either side of the door. They were easily 70 to 80 meters, humanoid foxes like Kurama, with the opposable thumbs and all. They were wearing black, full-sleeve haori and had swords strapped to their waists. The most notable features, though, were the 5 tails that lay behind them. At Naruto's dumbfounded look, Naomi chuckled and explained, "They are boss-level fighters, Naruto-kun. The number of tails they have denote their level of strength, and such rank is given out. But you don't need to know that right now." She nodded to the guards who bowed deeply to her and proceeded to open the gate. "Naomi-sama, you seem to be an important figure around." "Oh, fuck. Naomi-sama, you seem to be an important figure around here," Naruto commented as they proceeded inside. Naomi winked at him. "Well, if you must know, I'm a member of the High Council of the Kitsune." She laughed at Naruto's pale face and walked inside. Naruto snapped out of his shock and ran after her. The sight on the inside was just as shocking as it was on the outside. Large foxes with tails that varied 2 to 6 were inside sparring with each other with various weapons. Naruto found it curious that none of the noise was heard when they were standing outside the gate. A silence barrier, perhaps? He marveled at the sheer amount of chakra he was sensing from each of them. It was easily S rank, surpassing the Kage level. Naruto himself had Kage level chakra reserves due to having Kurama inside him and Uzumaki lineage. Looked around in awe, keeping up with Naomi until he spotted a fox. The fox was easily the tallest of them all, standing a bit taller than everyone, and he had 7 tails, making him the strongest fox here, which meant he was the boss of the Kitsune. He had a deep blue fur and wore a red haori, which had the kanji for boss on the back, and his waist was strapped a chukto, something like that. Naomi walked up to the boss, and as she did, Naruto noticed that everyone had stopped fighting and was bowing to her. After she acknowledged them now, they turned their attention to Naruto. As Naruto suspected, they were looking at him strangely, probably wondering what a human was doing in their realm. Naomi walked her to the boss of the Kitsune, who bowed deeply to her as well. Naomi-sama. His voice was deep like Kurama, but unlike the demon's rumbling, his voice was a deep, smooth baritone. Takeshi, she acknowledged. The now dubbed Takeshi straightened up and asked, Naomi-sama, what can I do for you today? Naomi's voice was full of authority. I want you to meet and judge the newest summoner of the Kitsune, the one who is mentioned in the prophecy. Takeshi frowned. He's already arrived then? He then turned his eyes onto Naruto, who had to crane up his neck to see him. Takeshi bent down to take a greater look at Naruto. After a long moment, he dryly commented, You're tiny. Naruto almost faceplanted at that. Even the other foxes were snickering with smirks. Only Naomi was the one watching the conversation with a serious eye. Naruto snarked at him. Well, I can't be as tall as you now, can I? Naruto got the impression that he had insulted the boss. If the sucking of breath and straightening of backs from the other foxes was any indication. Takeshi's eyes narrowed, but Naruto didn't show a hint of fear. He'd come too far to get afraid now. I see you're quite witty yourself, but I have to ask Naomi-sama. He turned his attention to Naomi. Who judged him worthy? Kyubi-sama. The single answer was enough for Takeshi's eyes to widen, along with the others' foxes. I see, he said, slowly straightening up. He gazed at Naruto. What is your name? Uzumaki Naruto. Uzumaki Naruto. He rolled the name over his tongue, testing it out. He held out an arm. Climb on, Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto wasn't startled this time, jumping onto the arm. Takeshi looked at him with a critical eye. If Kyubi-sama has judged you worthy to be our summoner, then I have no doubt that you are strong, but physical strength isn't everything. As Kitsune, we value wisdom and cleverness as much as we value our physical strength. So answer me this, Uzumaki Naruto. When you stop and look, you can always see. If you try to touch, you cannot feel. If you cannot move, but as you are near it, it moves away from you. What is it? Naruto thought for a moment and replied, It's the horizon. Takeshi was surprised. He did an excellent job of hiding it. He chuckled. What a sharp wit you have, Uzumaki Naruto. You are strong in the mind as well, as expected from someone who is to be our summoner. He surprised Naruto by gently setting his hand on the ground, saving Naruto from jumping from such a height. He smiled. The Kitsune will be glad to serve as your summons, Uzumaki Naruto. Naruto grinned widely and put a thumb up, declaring loudly, I look forward to working with you guys as well. Takeshi chuckled loudly and said, Naomi-sama. Now that I have judged our summoner, perhaps you should give him the contract. Naomi nodded and slapped her right foot on the ground. A ceiling array spread out in a puff of smoke. A large red scroll was revealed. Naomi spread it open and gestured to Naruto to sign it. Naruto nodded, took a kunai, cutting his thumb and letting some blood flow out. Naruto deftly put his name onto one of the columns, absently noting the previous summoner, Yamamoto Arashi. Naruto couldn't make anything of that name, so he put it in the back of his mind. Placing the top of all his fingers beneath his name, he released a breath. He was finally a fox summoner now. He watched as Naomi rolled up the scroll and it disappeared into a puff of smoke, presumably returning to where it came from. Naomi smiled at Naruto and said, Congratulations, Naruto-kun. We welcome you as the summoner of foxes. Naruto smiled and nodded. Naomi then addressed him. Now that that's over, I presume you know how to return. Naruto rose an eyebrow. It's the same way, isn't it? Kuchiyose without the blood, right? When Naomi responded with a nod, Naruto smiled and immediately performed the seals, saying, I'll summon you as soon as I can, Takeshi-san. With that, Naruto disappeared in a puff of smoke. One of the fox scoffed, as if he could summon you, Takeshi-sama. He was not expecting a blade to his throat. With Takeshi holding it with narrowed eyes, he gulped as his boss growled, I will not tolerate anyone insulting our new summoner. Is that clear? He asked the question to everyone. Hi! Naomi muttered to himself. Things are starting to look interesting over the horizon, Naruto-kun. Only 5 minutes seemed to pass, but even Jiraiya was close to chewing his nails. He was about to go into panic mode when a puff of smoke revealed Naruto, standing triumphantly with his arms crossed. Jiraiya almost melted in relief, then asked the relevant question. Did you get it? Naruto grinned and spread his arms. You're now looking at the newest summoner of the Kitsune clan. Alright, bet. Alright. So that's the end of this part 16 of What If Naruto Was Like Minato. I haven't slept. Your boy's about to go work out. You gotta do that. Ugh, I'm tired. It's 5:44. I tried to make this episode better for y'all. Editing it's gonna be a pain in the ass because it's a 40-minute episode, but whatever, man. You know, we'll be alright. But with all that out of the way, listen. So I'm gonna keep this editing style for a couple more videos. So if you make it to the end of the video, let me know. Comment remote. If you comment remote, then I know you made it to the end of the video. Shoot. Yeah, and I'd appreciate that. And I'll like and heart your comment and respond to you saying what's poppin'. Yeah, we'll go with that. What's poppin'? So yeah, you know, like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notifications, and I respond to all comments and I heart all comments, and I genuinely appreciate them. And now I have my work cut out for me for editing this video. It shouldn't be too hard though, because I mean, all I gotta do is input the music and then wait for it to download. But you know, it takes time. Everything takes time. But yeah, I'm about to go for a run. I'm about to go work out. It's 5:45. So this is your boy, the Anime Ambu here, and shoot, deuces. I'm out.